Johannes Gutenberg University, and yeah, we'll talk about the Skyrmion diffusion, its tuning with the interaction of Chiral Polypeptides. And this work results from collaboration with a group from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, the group of Professor Bakhtia. So let's start with the effect we will investigate. So the chirality-induced spin selectivity, or the cis effect, it describes a phenomenon where the transport of electrons through chiral materials, usually chiral molecules, induce spin polarization. And this spin polarization depends on the handedness of the molecule of the material. So here you can see the transport through the left-handed molecule will induce spin up electron, and the transport through the right-handed molecule will induce spin down electron. And this effect is interesting because the spin polarization, it can reach up to 70% with molecules made of light elements. So this effect is usually described using these kind of transport setups. However, it was shown that in some hybrid systems where you have chiral molecules assault on top of a magnetic metallic stack, then the molecules, they are able to interact with the magnetic layer thanks to this cis effect. And it can even induce some magnetization switch. Yeah. So if we talk about hybrid systems, like chiral molecules on top of metallic stacks, the molecules, they are not the only possible chiral objects. You can find chiral magnetic textures in the magnetic lithiums, and those are skyrmions. So those skyrmions are spin textures that behave like quasi-particles, and they are stabilized by the competition between the exchange interaction, the perpendicular magnetic anisotropy, and the PMA, and the Jaloshinsky-Moria interaction, the GMI. And this interaction, the GMI, it makes the spin canted. As you can see here, thanks to some interaction with adjacent layer that has a large spin-off coupling. And and this interaction is itself is chiral. So we know the chiral molecules are able to interact with the magnetization in a magnetic layer. And we know also this magnetization has the shape of a chiral texture. So the purpose of my research is to investigate how the chiral molecules they will interact with those chiral magnetic textures. So for that, we need the hybrid system. And this hybrid, so for the molecule part, we use chiral molecule called alpha helix polyadenine. It's a chiral polypeptide, so it's a collection of peptides, cysteine, alanine, lysine, and it's a helical molecule. And it's also has a dual termination, so it ensures strong bonding to some gold layer. And this molecule is known for exhibiting some relatively large cis effects. And for the metallic stacks, we use the following one. And we have several layers: gold layer for the absorption of the molecule, and you will have the cobalt iron boron layer, which is the magnetic layer, and then several layers of tantalum and magnesium oxide, which will control the GMI and the PMA present in the stack. So this stack is fabricated by sputtering, and it has stable skyrmions at room temperature, and it has a very flat energy state, which means the skyrmions, they can diffuse easily without too much spinning. So to make those types, we deposit the molecules on the thin film with deep coating, and we also do the experiment with another molecule, an chiral molecule, this 11 Mercato metachyl acid. And for some of the samples, the molecules are absorbed selectively on the thin film to disentangle the effect of the whole deposition process. And to investigate the effect of the chiral molecules on the skyrmions, we use the magneto-optic effects microscopy, and it can image the alpha plane magnetization of the sample and creating some contrast between areas with opposite magnetization. And from this, we can image out-of-plane magnetization curves that will give you some information about the Skyrmion stability. And we also take videos of Skyrmion diffusing. And from this, we can track those Skyrmions and calculate the mean square displacement versus the lag time. And this will characterize the diffusion experiments. And so we investigate this Skyrmion diffusion because that's a thermally activated phenomenon. And so it's very sensitive to changes in the energy landscape. So the effect of the molecule should be visible on the diffusion of the Skyrmion. So first, we investigate, we measure the out-of-plane magnetization curves in sample with and without molecules at several temperatures. And this measurement allows us to determine that at what temperature we reach the spin reorientation condition when we will get some more stable Skyrmions. And this transition is characterized by a coercive field that reach a minimal value. And here we can see that for a certain value in the thin films, if we add the chiral molecules, then we reduce this transition temperature. However, we increase this transition temperature in the case of chiral molecules. So we can see that those chiral molecules induce some shifts in the spin orientation condition and affects the Skyrmion stability. So we also measure this out-of-plane magnetization in selective adhesion samples, and we can extract the coercive field. And we do this measurement by imaging the clear area and covered area at the same time, so that we have consistent conditions for the measurements. And we repeat these measurements over time to minimize the error. And from this, we see that there is no difference in the case for the coercive fields in the case of the area without molecules and the area with achiral molecules. However, there is a slight difference in the coercive field in the case of the chiral molecule. So it seems that you can see that the chiral molecules induce some small change in coercive field. Here, finally, for the Skyrmion stability, so we increase the magnetic field of Skyrmions. So they get smaller and smaller until a certain field where they start annihilating. And then the magnetization will saturate. So at a magnetic field that is close to the saturation field, we image those Skyrmions and some isolated small domains, and we measure the density. And we see that in the area covered with molecules, there are fewer Skyrmions, stable Skyrmions, than in the area without molecules here. And it seems that increasing the temperature also increases this difference. So these results, they would suggest that the chiral molecule influence the Skyrmion density and stability. And it acts the same for small isolated domains. Yeah. And so finally, for Skyrmion diffusion, so we image a video of Skyrmion diffusing. And here you can see the top part of the video is the area where no molecule has been deposited. And the bottom part is the area with the molecules, the chiral molecules deposited on top. So we track those Skyrmions, each frame, and we extract the mean square displacement. We calculate this mean square displacement versus the lag time. And we see here that in the case of such polarity of Skyrmions, their diffusion is reduced by the left-handed molecule compared to the Skyrmions diffusing in the area not covered with molecule. And what's also interesting is that if we change the polarity of the Skyrmions, the opposite core magnetization, then the diffusion of the Skyrmions in the area covered with molecule is not reduced anymore, but even enhanced. So we can see that there is some effect of the Skyrmion polarity on the tuning of this Skyrmion diffusion. And so finally, so to conclude, the chiral molecules, they affect Skyrmion stability and Skyrmion dynamics. For the stability, they will shift the spin orientation transition temperature, and they will also affect all the Skyrmion density near the magnetic saturation, suggesting some change in the range of stability for the prime magnetic field. And for the diffusion, for the Skyrmion dynamics, there's a clear change in the thermal diffusion of the Skyrmions. And depending on the polarity of the Skyrmions, this tuning of the diffusion changes. So there are different possible explanations for those observation in change in diffusion. So the diffusion depends on magnetic properties like GMI or the magnetic anisotropy. So a change in those characteristics would explain some change we see in the diffusion. And the chiral part is more, another possible explanation would be that the chiral molecule induces some sort of effective magnetic field by inducing net magnetic moments. And that would also affect the Skyrmion dynamics. Thank you for your attention. And I thank all my lab for the support. And if you have any questions.
Thank you, Theo, for your presentation. A very interesting topic. Would like to know if there are any questions from the audience. Feel free to ask them. So I'd like to know from my side, Theo, like what is the next plan after like this work? What are you planning like to do afterwards?
So we are actually interested in how the chiral molecules interact with other chiral properties of the thin films. So what would be interesting is also change the chirality itself of the Skyrmions. Skyrmions with opposite TM, for example, and see if the effect is also opposite as we can see here.
Okay. Thank you. So if we don't have like any questions, we can, by the way, if you have other questions later, you can still like feel free to reach out directly to Theo on the Gather Town. So thank you, Theo, again for your